I'm Adrienne Fast, Curator of Art and Visual Culture at the Reach Gallery Museum. In this video, I'd like to introduce you to the work of artist Sara Khan, a selection of which is on display in her solo exhibition at the Reach titled Roshni Key Teh Mein, which is Urdu for In the Fold of Light. Although now currently based in Burnaby, BC, Khan grew up amidst a large extended family in Lahore, Pakistan, and much of her work contains autobiographical elements that express her connections to people, architecture, landscapes, and histories from which she is now physically removed, but still emotionally linked. Some of the titles of her works are windows into these connections, such as Under My Mother and Sister or My Village. Khan has worked in a variety of different painting media and also has training as a printmaker. But this exhibition focuses on some of her most recent work, which is primarily watercolor on paper. Part of this shift in Khan's work is the result of practical considerations. Very few artists have the space for a printing press and other specialized equipment when working out of a small home-based studio. But Khan has turned this restriction into an exploration, allowing herself the time needed to expand and refine her skills in watercolor to the point where the inherent challenges, frustrations, and limitations of what is a notoriously difficult medium seem to, in Khan's hands, completely disappear. She seems to be able to effortlessly conduct a cacophony of color and pattern, but in fact, she speaks about watercolor as a collaborator, one that indeed sometimes has a mind of its own. Khan's mastery of the medium comes not from strong-arming it into doing her bidding, but instead from knowing when to step back and follow its lead, letting the bleed of color go where it wants to at first, and then making sense of it afterwards with more directed applications of paint. The sumptuous color palette and dense patterning of Khan's paintings gives them a magnetic quality that immediately draws viewers in. But when we look closer, we can also discover some strange and unsettling details, such as a disembodied head spewing fish, or bound feet and ankles suspended from a ceiling fan. These disconcerting elements seem to be at odds with Khan's choice of delicate, or some might say even feminine, colors and patterns. But to my mind, this offers a different path into Khan's works. While her paintings can be appreciated on a straightforwardly aesthetic level for their beauty, the uncanny or unsettling details also challenge some of our society's gendered expectations of female behavior and femininity. Placid beauty may exist at face value, but that may only mask darker and wilder forces that swim beneath the surface. Another one of the challenges that the medium of watercolor on paper presents, and which Khan playfully and fruitfully pushes the envelope on, is the issue of scale. The exhibition includes some very small framed works, and at this size, all the viewer is really aware of is the paint on the surface of the paper. The paper itself essentially recedes or disappears from view. It's not something we notice or pay attention to. At a slightly larger size, still framed, the edges of the paper are left visible, and Khan has left more areas of the raw paper unpainted, so if one were looking for it, you could become more aware of the paper support. The largest works on paper in the exhibition have been left deliberately unframed and are simply pinned to the gallery walls. Here, the large areas of unpainted paper are immediately visible, and the paper itself begins to buckle and curl. Now our attention is drawn to the paper support. No longer does it disappear. Now the paper and the paint are equal partners in the experience of the work itself. For this exhibition at the Reach, Khan wanted to experiment even further with the sense of scale. She wanted to know what happens when she expands her practice even larger. And these experiments have resulted in a new textile installation piece on display in the Reach's atrium gallery, consisting of white and off-white textile panels hung from the ceiling, with layers of fabric creating silhouettes of some of her characteristic motifs and characters. But here we see Khan embracing the support itself, evacuating all the rich color palette of her paintings and allowing the movement of the support to take center stage. There is a coexistence of absence and presence in this work that also resounds throughout the exhibition, both conceptually and aesthetically. In her compositions, Khan makes strategic use of negative space to conjure the presence of forms by rendering their absence, making the eye and mind see what is actually missing. Narratively, this resonates with her autobiographical content, expressing both her absence and presence to places and people in both Canada and Pakistan. Both formally and narratively, therefore, Khan's work questions the relationship between what is there and what is not, finding balance between these elements and resolving that these may be complementary states rather than conflicting ones. Thank you for listening, and for more information about our exhibitions and programs, please be sure to visit www.thereach.ca.